So I had a vision of a sculptor sculpting the beautiful form of a human and the hand of God reaching down from the dimension of heaven and removing the glasses from the face of a woman. As I prayed into these two symbols, I felt the Spirit of the Lord gave me a revelation that He's training the spiritual senses of His people that are praying for revelation, that are praying for answers, that are praying for strategies to discern the times and the seasons to enable them to overcome obstacles that would otherwise trip them up. The faith of some have diminished because they misunderstood the ways of God regarding times and seasons. There's a time for everything under heaven. The love and intimacy of portions of Jesus Christ's bride have grown cold in the waiting. A lot of people have lost their faith. Others have worn themselves out, working in their own strength to bring about the promises that God's placed in their heart, often missing critical turning points or refusing to be redirected by God or just not having a revelation of the time and the seasons. So I just am praying for you today. I see that many people that have been in bondage, restrained in chains, made out of broken pieces of clocks, breaking free as the great artist just chisels away. The hammer hits the chisel, splintering the cords that entangled the souls of God's new creations. Scales that look like clocks are being brushed away from the eyes of those that have been adopted by God as His royal sons and daughters. You are no longer going to be slave to time, a slave in your waiting. The hand of God's moving on your behalf. He's moving on the behalf of all of His people to work good through all of the dashed hopes of the seasons past, to create solid, unshakable faith in Him and a peaceful resting in the knowledge that His timing is perfect. His ways are beyond our understanding. There are unprecedented numbers of believers coming to the end of themselves and surrendering on a deeper level than they ever have before. This is a great move of God's Spirit to bring us to our knees. This humbling of the body and the bending of the individual will to God's bigger picture purpose that's taking place in the world. It's making room for true intimacy between the Father and His children. It's ushering in a revival of holiness in the church. God is fine-tuning His people to be useful instruments and vessels in His hand, prepared to do His will in the earth without being distracted by carnal concerns or without being a slave to the clock. It's not too late. God's will is being done in the earth and through your life. He's given the wonderful gift of freedom from the tyranny of time to all who are led by His Spirit. Be led by His Spirit in all things. You've not run out of time. It's not too late. Time is not your enemy. God is causing His people to master the clock. Time will no longer be a tyrant in your life. Today, if you hear His voice, do not harden your hearts as you did in the rebellion. That's Hebrews 3:15. The spark of faith that started at the hearing of His word is being fanned into flames by a fresh wind of His Spirit that is blowing into those that are taking time to sit in His presence and meditate on His word. By your great faith, receive back the time that was lost. God's restoring lost time through accelerated growth of the seeds that are planted in the mighty name of Jesus. Now's the time to plant generously in obedience and faith. Don't hold back from the Lord. He is moving on your behalf. He is moving His perfect time.